Welcome to the Studio X27. I'm your host, X, and today we got a good one for you guys. It's my boy CJ. I got him in the building today, man. I'm very excited about this. Very excited for having you on the podcast. I appreciate you doing this for me, man.
No
Um,
problem.
Let me just run down this real quick because this is amazing, and you probably heard this a lot. CJ, husband, father, track and field, earning your scholarship at Maple Heights, three letter varsity athlete, NAIA All American, three-time NCAA regional qualifier, Army veteran, military police officer. Big ups to you. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, master's degree in education, the first wounded partial amputee vet to earn an IFBB Pro card. He has been in Health Magazine, bodybuilding.com, and on the documentary Alive. He is a teacher, the winner of the Ultimate Men's Health Guide, coaching Shaker Feet on Fire track team, and of course, we can't forget an author.
Yes.
Everybody, welcome to Studio X27, Corwyn Collier.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. I was going through my notes, man. I was like, yeah, I gotta get all that in there. You had a lot. You had a lot, brother. You got to be 70 years old for everything you did in your life. Is all I'm gonna say.
No, I've done a lot just consistently throughout my life. Just I've never stopped moving, just trying to always find a way to create I guess just positive things you can say. Just
Yeah,
about just overall my life and my legacy. I guess I feel like when I leave this earth, I at least want to, what I'm saying, people to remember me in a good way.
hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Real quick, man, how's the wife? How's the kids? Everybody good?
Wife is great. She's just like we both working, trying to finish out the school year right now. So that's been our biggest thing.
Yeah,
While trying to balance three sons with one being in college for the first time. So that's just it's been a interesting year with him being so far away, but still trying to, be a parent and give him guidance while still maintaining the other two here at the house. So I mean, all the kids are doing good. Like I said, the wife is. We're everybody's doing great right now. So we just, like I said, just trying to finish out another school year and make it to the summer and readjust and redo it all
yeah.
again next year.
Is it harder raising a child from a distance? I can only imagine. Because
Um,
when you walk in that room, hey, get your, what I'm saying, you can do that.
it's harder because you have to allow them to grow. You have to allow them to become a young man. Um, and you have to realize that you cannot protect them from every adversity like you tried to when they were growing up. So you have to allow them to bump their head here and there, and then try to guide them along the way. So it's been a lot of that with him lately, just trying to get him to understand certain things and how to operate and how to move. But we also try to instill in him that you are a man and these are the decisions that you have to make moving forward. Like we can't always, tell you what to do. We can advise you,
Yeah.
but eventually you're going to have to pick this up and, hopefully how we raised you will eventually get you to the place where you need to be.
Facts. I mean, because as parents, man, you already know we try to, I guess, step in every time we can to protect them from life. And it's like sometimes you just gotta let that shit happen. You gotta let life kind of teach them in a sense.
Right.
You better protect them for everything. Because
Right. And that's exactly how it's going right now for him. I mean, he's doing, like I said, he's doing pretty good right now. It's just he's learning how to find balance, and I
yeah,
think that's the hardest part right now is, finding balance between being an athlete, being a college athlete, and being a college student. It's not the same as being in high school. It's completely different. So he's still navigating that area of life.
facts. I get it. Real quick, man, I definitely want to ask you. what was life growing up for young CJ? Because I didn't even know you was from Nashville. You moved to Cleveland. Yeah, I know. My people in the truck, we've been doing our work all week. You know what I'm saying?
So what happened
Nashville,
was,
Tennessee, brother.
yes, I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee. So my father is an executive chef. So my dad moved a lot. He every time a restaurant, he worked with Sheraton Company. So every time a Sheraton, he would end up having to go there and helping the restaurant get up and get started because he was the executive chef. So that's how we moved so many different places. So him and my mom originally met and when he was working in Nashville, and that's kind of how they got together. And they had me, well, it had my brother first, and me and my sister followed after that. And so we ended up living in numerous different places because of his job. We lived in Nashville, Indianapolis, New Mexico, Denver, New Orleans,
Oh wow.
and then eventually we moved here to Cleveland. And so when we moved to Cleveland, that's how we kind of just, my dad at that point in time just kind of was like, you know what, I'm gonna just put some roots here, and we just ended up staying here. And plus, two of my aunts, his sisters were currently living here too, so it was an easy transition
Yeah.
to have family here, especially with me and my brother and my sister still being so young when we did end up moving here. So we had family that he could depend on, because when him and my mom divorced, it was just him. So he needed my aunts to kind of like step in and kind of help, while he was working and stuff like that, to help kind of look after us and stuff like that. So that's pretty much how we end up getting here to Cleveland. It was just kind of like one of them things where he just kind of wanted to settle, and this just happens to be the spot.
Yeah, you lucky, brother. Had an in-house chef every night.
Oh yeah,
Y'all
yeah.
eating
Everybody
good.
assumes that. Yeah, my dad never cooked.
What?
So,
You had a
no,
chef at the house and he ain't cook?
my dad never ever cooked for us growing up. I think in my lifetime, I can probably say maybe 10 times. But and I
Man,
understood, if this is what you do all day at work, the
that
last
makes
thing you want to
sense.
do is come home and do it again. So he rarely ever cooked at home.
That
So
makes that makes a lot of sense. You do it all day. That's the
yeah,
last thing
and
you
even my
want to
dad, he
do.
wasn't a big fan of just like he would literally, like, he could eat a sandwich and be okay. Like he never really cared about having like a big old dinner or anything like that. Like he would literally eat like a sandwich and be cool, because like I said, this is all he did every day, all day for the majority of his life.
He's kind of desensitized to it at a certain point.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, this ain't nothing. I do this daily.
So yeah, that's how
But
that pretty much went.
but, so Maple Heights, you went to high school there. What made you pick up track?
So we moved to Maple when I was in the 7th grade. I always loved running. So I was one of those kids that I instantly, like, I knew I was fast. I knew I was like, I always wanted to race and stuff like that. Me and my brother and my sister, we love running. So any opportunity we can get, like we racing in the street, we racing on the field, anything like that, we were all
You
about it. Unlike my sons who grew up with the opportunity for me to give them to compete in like AAU and stuff like that, we never had that chance. So my first chance to really be exposed to track was when I was in 7th grade at Maple Heights. And so um, that's like, so, but prior to that, I was a wrestler. So my real first sport was wrestling. And then I went
I
from
know that.
wrestling season, and I had never wrestled either before, but I ended up like, I just picked it up, and it was something I was really really good at. And so then so the next sport after the winter sports was track, and so I knew I was going to run track without
Mhm.
a doubt in my mind. So we went to like track and stuff like that, and so the very first, what I'm saying, like the coach, who is still one of my close friends to this day. Um, he didn't know too much about me and my brother. So the very first track meet, he put me in the 800. I'm like, I can't run no 800. Like, you
You
want me
gonna
to
run
run?
the long one today. I don't know
Like, you
nothing
want me to
about you.
you want me to run a half a mile? Like, bro, I can barely do it in gym. So we were literally at the first track meet, and we didn't have nobody in the hurdles. And I had never ever ran over a hurdle, knew anything about hurdles. I was like, Coach, can I? I was willing to do anything to get out running this 800. I said, Coach, can I try that?
Yeah.
And he was like, sure. And I won. And so then I ran the 200 hurdles and I won again. And so he was like, well, he's like, I guess you're a hurdler. And so from that moment forward, he trained me how to hurdle. And I mean, it was like one of them things where, God either like intervened or somehow, some way, but it allowed me to find something at an event and do something that a lot of people wasn't willing to do. And for some reason, I had a natural ability to do it. And that's how I typically find hurdlers too. You can tell by a kid, or you can just tell by a person how they run over the hurdles, if they can do it or not. And so that's how I ended up. And then my brother ended up doing them too. My brother, like literally the next practice, me and him were both doing it together. Right. And so that's how we pretty much developed into hurdlers together.
And then ultimately getting a scholarship.
Well, yeah, we so I went from like my coach coached me for so let's say I ran 6 years at Maple from the middle school to the high school. My coach coached me 5 out of those 6 years. So he coached me 7th grade and 8th grade. Then when I got to 9th grade, we had a high school coach, but he ends up leaving after my 9th grade year. And so then my middle school coach takes over as the head coach of the high school program, and he coached me from 10th through 12th grade. And so through all that, he was like a second dad to me. He pushed me. He made sure that my grades always stayed good. He helped develop and mold me into what a student athlete was, and not just wanting to be an athlete. He made me understand how important that stuff was. I mean, granted, my dad did too, but it was like I had this extra person at school that, you know what I'm saying, outside of my house, that would stand on top of me too. So we developed this bond and stuff like that. And the crazy part is, my first track meet next week is he's hosting it.
So really?
He coaches for Normandy out in Parma, so he's hosting the first track meet. So it'll be the second time that we'll both be the head coaches of a program, from going from athlete and coach to now coach. So that's a cool for me to experience. So, but yeah, I ended up, what happened was, when I was in school, my senior year, I had a lot of interest in things of that nature, a lot of schools. And so I had put my hopes and eggs into University of Indiana. I had thought I was going to be a Hoosier. I was like, man, I'm about to go here. I got accepted. I had a schedule, I had a dorm, had the coach was like, if you hit X, Y, and Z, you know what I'm saying, we'll get you this money, blah, 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 blah. And so
you in there. You in there.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I'm in there. And so then after the state meet, my senior year, he was like, you can walk on. And basically there was no scholarship money. And he was like, you can walk on, you place in the Big Ten and all this other stuff. Then we'll, the following year, it'll be scholarship opportunity for you. I'm like, bro, I'm poor. I can't afford it over here. But like, without the scholarship, I had no nothing. And so I burned a lot of bridges with a lot of schools because I had put my hopes and dreams into Indiana, and that didn't work out. So I was pretty much stuck with nothing, because at this point in time in June, a lot of schools then pretty much gave out their scholarship money.
Right.
So I was pretty much stuck without anything. And then I was heartbroken. I didn't know what I was going to do, what college I was going to end up going to. And so it just so happened one day I came home from work, and there was a letter from Tiffin University, and Tiffin had offered me, and I knew nothing about Tiffin, didn't even know what the hell it was. And so I went to Tiffin on a visit. They literally walked me across the street and walked me back and said, "That's it." I was like, "Okay,
that's it.
The whole campus. That's it. All right." And so I was just in a position where I needed to sign and be able to go to college. And so I took the money, took the opportunity, and that's pretty much how I started at Tiffin, stayed there for 2 years, and then I left after 2 years and went to Toledo, I was only in Toledo for a year because they ended up cutting the track program because of Title IX, and then I ended up doing 2 years at Southern Miss. And the reason I had 5 years is because I redshirted a year because of injuries. So
Okay.
that's how I ended up doing 5 years total altogether.
Wow, that's so. For as at Toledo, is that where you decided to join the Alpha and all that? How did that all come about?
I knew I knew in high school I wanted to be in a fraternity. That was um, one of my things. And like I was like, I'm going to college. I'm gonna be in a fraternity. Gotta be. And so one of my teachers, actually, my teacher and security guard were both my African American history teacher and one of our security guards. They both were alphas from Bowling Green, and they used to always talk about the frat and stuff like that. Um, so I did some research and kind of like figured out what I wanted to do, met the right people, and so through meeting the right people, I ended up getting the opportunity to go to an informational, and then kind of the ball kind of kept rolling from there, and then got the opportunity to be initiated back in March of 2023. So that's how that all like I knew like I wanted to be a part of an organization. So I
Well,
just
Alpha,
had to figure out which one best fit me.
how did you know Alpha was gonna be the one?
I just through researching and seeing what values and things like that stuck out to me, and the people I knew that were alphas and so on and so forth. It was the right move for me as far as just I'm a big fan of Jesse Owens, who was a member. I love hit black African American history, so when I seen like Thurgood Marshall, and I seen Martin Luther King, and I seen other famous African Americans that were a part of the organization, I was just like, man, that one's. I mean, not saying even, like the other ones don't have other famous people too, but it was just like the local people that I met, especially up in Toledo, like Keith Nelson, Richard Brown, Andre Page, and Jay and Martino, like just those me meeting those people,
Hmm.
that is what you know helped solidify me making my decision.
Got you. Okay. So I'm trying to see which one came first. Was it? Well, let's take it this way. When did you meet your wife?
I met my wife after college, so I was
Got
already out of school, and we met, and we were working together at Finish Line, and so we met, and just when I tell people the story, they always they laugh. We didn't have a real strong like for each other, to say that we've been married for like 16 years now. So when
$16?
yeah, we've been married for 16 years. We didn't have this great introduction to start off with, and so after a while, we kind of like we got better and kind of got to know each other, and then eventually we um we eventually started dating, and then one thing led to another, and
You just knew.
3 kids later, and
It just happens.
yeah. So we literally, like I said, it's been a journey, and like I said, we just kind of found each other at the right time. She was like in a relationship, kind of like when we first like met, and I was kind of semi something like in a relationship, and so both of our relationships were fizzling or towards the end, and so it kind of like opened the door for both of us to kind of like to get to know each other, and that's when we kind of, like I said, we started dating, and we found out we had a lot in common, and we just kind of kept growing and growing, and through everything we just stuck it out for these last, like I said, it's been going on. Yeah, we got married in 2008. Oh, was that 8 or 9? Oh shoot.
2008, I think.
Yeah, it's 2008. Yeah. Cause we got 2008 because I deployed in 2009. So yeah,
Yeah.
we got married in 2008.
So y'all were only married for a little bit. and then you got deployed. Tell me, walk me through the whole story of your decision to even go into the military.
So, like I said, I met my wife working at Finish Line. Prior to working at Finish Line, I was working at Enterprise Rent a Car, and I was just like, man, I know I didn't go to college for this. Like, I got a whole degree, and I'm working at Enterprise, renting cars. I did that for like 6 months, and I was like, man, this it's got to be something. Like it's like. And like everybody tell you, you go to college and get this degree, but man, once you get it, man, it's like it ain't what you know, is who you know, because my degree is in sports administration and I didn't know anybody whatsoever to help me get my foot in the door, and I wasn't willing to take on internships and stuff like that, especially with having kids. Like I can't make no $15,000-$20,000 a year on no
No.
internship praying that one day you're gonna give me a real job and so on and so forth. And so I worked at Enterprise, I worked at Finish Line. And so while I was working at Finish Line and stuff like that, I was just like, my brother had just got back from Iraq. My brother is a Marine. So I was talking to my brother and we was having these conversations, and I was talking to my roommate at the time who was in the Army National Guard, and it was just like, to me, I felt like if I was gonna do something with my life, this would be the best thing to do. Like me just sitting here, like corporate America just wasn't my stitch at all. Like it's not my thing, and nothing against anybody who decides to be in that route, but being like in a cubicle or being like just doing that kind of stuff wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So when I joined the Army, that felt like me. So when I was in, it was one of those things where I really truly enjoyed it, and where I was like, man, this ain't that, like everybody make it seem bad. I'm like, this ain't bad. I'm like, man, this is. I mean, it's like, I think if you have athleticism in you and you have the smarts and the intelligence to think, it's not bad. But
Yeah.
when you just if you struggle with just, to me, if you struggle with being able to think on your feet, or if you struggle with, what I'm saying, the athleticism, it probably will suck to you a little bit until you catch on to that part.
Well,
But
it ain't too many All Americans go to the Army. You know what
well,
I'm
I mean,
saying?
no, but
A lot
I've
of these people
seen,
don't know where to go in life, and they just, you know what, I'm going to the
yeah,
Army.
some people do join and don't know, and some people join and do know. But like I said, I mean, to me, like everybody made basic training seem like it was like the only part bad about basic training was being away from Aisha and Malachi at the time, like not seeing them and not being able to contact them as often as I would like on the phone. Like I would only have certain times I could use the phone, so it was mostly through letters. That's the only bad part to me. The rest of it was like my dad yelled at me harder than this. Okay, like
You know they weren't gonna touch you.
right. I'm like, okay, like this is okay. They're like, are you done? Like, and at
Right.
the time I was grown too. I wasn't like some 18, 19-year-old kid graduating high school, like, and this is like my first, like I'm grown. Like at this point, like I done had track coaches, I done became a member of a fraternity. Like the last thing I'm worried about is y'all yelling. Like the only thing I'm worried about is if you yell
Yes.
and spit hit me.
Yeah, I
Like
was
that's
gonna
the
say
only thing
spitting
I'm
on
worried
you.
about. Like, but outside of that, like I didn't care. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, we talk about in the military like getting smoked and stuff like that. And most people don't know what smoke means. That's like when they just make you just do crazy stuff, or it's like a punishment type deal.
Okay.
But I mean, all right, cool, whatever. Like it'll be over with. It's just like getting a whooping. Eventually it's gonna be over with.
Right.
You'll be all right.
Get it over with.
Right. So outside of that, like I love the Army, like, and had things not gone bad like it did over in Iraq, I probably would have stayed in and finished out and did my 20 years. So
You, did you want to take us through that day?
yeah,
If you don't, I definitely understand.
oh no, man, it's in the book. You know what I'm saying? It's in the book.
Okay, okay.
But so, but most people, I mean, not most people, but people who do know me or people who heard about me through whatever, through media, social media sources or whatever, know back in shoot, what was that? May 23rd. I'll be having to think nowadays. May 23rd, 2009.
Getting old,
I
brother.
always I have to correlate it with my, like, the bad thing is I correlated with my son's birthday. I know his birthday is May 18th, and I know I got hit 5 days after his birthday.
Okay.
So that's how I always remember it. So May 23rd, 2009, we on mission. Just a typical mission like we always do in Iraq, and we were on our way back. from the mission, and the the way we ride in MPs is four trucks altogether. So my truck was the lead truck at this particular time. So I'm in the front of the convoy. And so as we're getting ready to leave the city, there's a loud explosion that goes off, and the explosion is actually an IED that hits my truck. And so it hits my truck, and my whole truck is just rattled and vibrating, and smoke everywhere. And so I couldn't, like, at the time I was like, it felt like somebody just punched me in the head. So I was just in a daze and trying to just like get out the daze real quick. And so initially I had no idea I was hit, no idea what had happened whatsoever. And so it wasn't until, I seen my driver panicking, a little bit. And then I looked over to my right hand side, and that's when I seen all this blood and stuff, all of my window door and stuff. Like, that's when I realized I was hit. And so at that moment, I mean, I still I'm like, man, this is some bullshit. So I pick up my right hand, and so my right hand is completely mangled because I keep my right hand by the door, by the emergency lock. So I can pull the emergency lock and get out anytime I need to. And so I had a contractor in the back, and so he takes my right hand, he starts wrapping it, and he was like, CJ, I got to get the blood to stop and stuff like that. And so while all of this is going on, my squad is trying to come and get to me, but in order to get to me, there's a firefight going on outside. So they got to eliminate everybody outside before they can even get to me. So while they're doing all that, I get on the radio. I'm going back and forth, telling them like, "Hey, headquarters, like, boom, boom, I'm hit. We need this, we need that, so on and so forth." So we doing all of this, communicating back and forth. Eventually, that's when they come and get me out of the truck. And so when they finally come to get me out of the truck, this is like the first time I really felt the pain, because when they pull me out, like, all of that stuff it's like it had my right leg pinned. And so when they were pulling me, it just like I had to go and get pulled through all of that. And so it hurt bad. I screamed. So then they put me on the gurney, and then they put me on another truck. And then at that point in time, they taking me back to the helicopter. They trying to get me to the helicopter so I can get there. I had no idea like how bad or severe everything was as far as my legs. Well, I did look at my leg. I seen my bones coming out my pants leg. So I did know how bad it was, but I didn't know how bad like my quads were, my hamstrings. I mean, because what I didn't realize was in this entire time that I was sitting on top of the bomb, it stopped. Like it hits and then it stops underneath my seat. So it's like it's made like a cannon. It's not like when people think about a bomb, you think about a boom. Like, no, they make these like cannon type bombs with these IDs. So they shoot and they shoot like this copper type ball. And so the ball was meant to come. It's supposed to come in and cut through my body and then blast my driver's head off if the trajectory was done right. But it wasn't. So it ends up stopping underneath my seat and sitting underneath my seat, and so it burns out the back of my hamstrings. So I end up losing like 35% of the right one and like 25% of the left one. But while it was burning, like, it severs my artery. Didn't know that happened. Didn't know I was bleeding out at all. So I'm bleeding out this entire time, but they put a tourniquet on my leg to kind of like stop the bleeding. And so this is what's keeping me alive at that point in time. The tourniquet, basically. So once we get to the hospital, the helicopter flies me to the hospital that we have in Iraq. We get there, they take the tourniquet off my leg. That's when my heart stops beating. And that's when Aisha gets the phone call that I was going to die. She was going to have to come to Germany so she could see me one last time. And so then, because I take care of myself, I don't do a lot of crazy stuff. They used the defibrillator 3 times. My heart started back beating. They was able to get blood. Like, they had to get 13 people to volunteer to put blood back into me. They had nowhere near enough blood to go through surgery and to keep me alive at the same time. But they did have enough people to volunteer to put blood back in me and keep me going. So then they called Aisha back, was like, nah, he gonna make it. And so after that,
the true definition of we can laugh about this now.
Yeah, I laugh about all of this stuff now. I woke up, it was like 3 days. It had to be 2 or 3 days later. I was in Germany. Had no idea what transpired, nothing. Um, so when I woke up, um, first thing I did was I called her, and I had to know how the Cavs was doing. I was worried about the Cavs in the playoffs.
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on.
So
This is '09?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Brown's still going
Yeah,
on.
Brown's still here. He
Okay,
followed.
okay.
He
You was gonna
followed.
be all right. You was gonna be all
Yeah.
right. We
So I was trying. So of course she was mad because she was like, "How the hell you asked me about the Cavs? You almost die." And so at that point in time, I was flown back here to DC, Walter Reed Hospital, and I spent the next 9 months at Walter Reed recovering, just surgery after surgery, physical therapy, occupational therapy, just tons of just rebuilding over and over and over and over again until I was able to walk out the hospital. I mean, they told me I was supposed to be there for 15 months, but I got out in 9.
oh my God. Whew. What motivated you through the recovery process, and how did that kind of change you after the injury?
Um, what motivated me the most was just getting back home to my kids and to my wife. I felt like she dealt with enough on her own. Like me leaving to go to Iraq was already stressful enough, and then the injury in the hospital, and then the back and forth between Ohio and DC, and trying to make all of that work. It was at one point in time we was looking to move. We was like, fuck it, we just gonna move to Baltimore. We gonna move we gonna move somewhere so she ain't got to keep traveling back and forth.
Right.
Then we was like, man, we ain't got no family out here, so how does that gonna help with the boys? Like getting the boys to making sure they cool. So it was just like a lot of. It was like we only got our family is all here in Ohio to be able to help navigate the situation. So
Right.
um, if it wasn't like, what I'm saying, my friend Miguel, he stepped in and kind of alleviated some of that pressure off of her by coming there and stay with me for a couple months as well. So my motivation had always been, them, even through, the depression, even through the suicide and everything else, it always been them. Like it was, I have to make this, or I have to complete this for them. It was, to me, it was never about me. It was always, I'm doing this for them. I have to get better for them. And as long as I kept that in my view, and making sure that that was my main why, it allowed me to kind of like always push myself and go beyond what I was supposed to do.
Wow. Did you did you decide to come back and teach at your alma mater high school after?
No, that was all coincidental. So
Really?
yeah. So what happened? Like I mean, like I said, God works in mysterious ways, and people don't believe that. I truly do. But so what happened was the superintendent of Maple Heights, Dr. Keenan, he had a daughter that used to do track. So I used to see him at every AAU track meet when my sons were younger competing. So this started around what 2000. So I came home 2010. We started track around 2000. Yeah, around 2011. Like around that time, we start we would always see each other speaking. He knew who I was because I was a former Maple student, and he heard so much about me, blah blah blah. And then I had also, I ended up getting an award from Maple. We do a Black History program called Pathfinders and things like that. So like before I even graduated college, like in 2000 February 2012, I get this award from them. So it's like this ongoing connection between us. And it just so happens when I graduate with my degree in 2012, I'm just subbing because I graduate in December. So it's like there's no real teaching jobs until August, anyways. So I'm
Yeah.
subbing from like December, like that January on till like basically to school ends, anyways. And so I end up applying for I end up going to a job fair for teachers, and it's like I end up interviewing for 3 um, jobs. I ended up interviewing for Orange and Akron, and I can't think of where else. And so I ended up interviewing for all those places. And so Maple had a history teacher retiring that same year.
Oh,
And,
nice.
and so one of my former teachers, now colleagues, he was like, hey, he was like, we got a teacher retiring, you should apply. And I did. And like I said, when I just said, it ain't what you know, it's who you know.
Once again.
So I went to the interview and it was like magic. I ain't had to say nothing. I ain't had to do too much. They just made sure I had my degree, made sure I had my license, and it was history from there. And so I just lucked up and happened to be able to work for the school that I felt like, and it's been 11 years now, but I honestly feel like this was meant to be because this is where I grew up at. This is like the only, like I tell my students, this is the only place like I ever stayed for more than 2 years. Like Maple was like I was from 7th grade through 12th grade. It wasn't like I did 2 years and I went somewhere else, and like that was the majority of my early education as childhood. Like just like I transferred I transferred schools like all the time. So me being back here in Maple, it felt like home. It felt like, you know what I'm saying? I
It's like
know the
full
kids, like,
circle.
yeah, it comes back full circle. And so for me, it's like now, you know, I did so much with my life, and now I get the opportunity to give back and give kids the same opportunities I had, and try to help them, you know, create paths and be a voice that they may not have in their lives, and
Mhm.
you know, give them guidance and give them everything that I wish I had in some of my teachers. So
Mm.
that's I'm trying to, like I said, that's what I mostly am. I try to be everything that I wanted my teachers to be for me. And so to me, that's how I operate, how I move through everything. You know, I'm tough on them when I need to be, but I make sure that they know that they're cared for, they're loved. This is a place that they're safe, and and you, if you're ever around like with me and just my students or my team and things of that nature, you can always see that they know that I care about them. They know that, you know, I'm not here for I'm not here for a check. I tell them all the time, bro. I'm paid for the rest of my life. Like it's like Uncle Sam is paying me for the rest of my life tax free. So I'm like this.
You good.
Yeah, I'm technically I can go and find something else to do if I really wanted to, but I enjoy teaching and like I enjoy, you know what I'm saying, giving back to a community that gave so much to me. So that's my ultimate goal, is to help these kids, just, you know, give them just something, and hopefully they take it and they run with it, and they be better than they was before they came into my classroom.
Facts. That's what it's always about, man. Let's how did so as the first amputee, what got you into that? The IFBB pro card, like,
Oh,
'cause I remember
so
when that's kind of how I first met you a little bit. You know, I think it was mom brought me and you was on stage all oiled up. I'm like, is that him over there? You was all on the stage glistening. I said, where are we at?
so what happened with that was, okay, so when I went in, I was in Iraq. I was hoping, my hopes was that I was gonna come back and try to, you know, run track again and kind of go and redo track. But you know, all that stuff happened. So when I went to the hospital, I was like 200 pounds. Came out the hospital, I was like 130 pounds.
I ain't never seen it.
I was super, super, super small, fragile, the whole nine. And so, first thing I did when I came back home was I started going back to the gym. And so, I'm hitting the gym constantly. And
Well, let
so,
me ask you this: are you a natural gym rat? Like, are you a natural just
yeah,
dude that's always in the gym?
yeah, I was
You
like
ran
hitting
track, like,
yeah, but I love lifting weights. Like
huh.
I was always a big fan of like Arnold and Ronnie Coleman and
Oh yeah.
Flex Wheeler and all that. Like I was all like, for some reason, I like that. That was like, I used to see them in the, like posters of them in our high school weight room. To me, that I'm like, man, like just lifting and getting strong to me was just, I was, for some reason I was fascinated with it. Like my dad had like some curl bars and stuff like that in the house when I was young. I used to always pick like I was always trying to lift weights and stuff like that. So I love the gym, and to me, it's a place of peace. It's a place of relaxation and stress. Everything that I like. Whenever I'm having a day, I can go in there and I can feel like it'll take away all that stuff. So I came home and started back lifting and stuff like that, and I just started rebuilding myself. And so um, I was having a hard. I was trying to get into the Paralympic world. I was having a hard time making connections, anything like. So it was just like, man, I ain't got time for this. Like, it's too many. It just felt like it was like hoop after hoop after hoop after hoop to jump through to get to compete in this stuff. So I'm like, man, I don't have time for this. So I was like, you know what? My friend at the time, he was like, man, he was like, you should try doing uh, this. He pretty much like bodybuilding, but I was like, bro, my legs is blown up. I ain't about to go up there with my ass all blown up. He was like, no, it's another category called men's physique. It just really kind of got started like a year or two ago. It's like you wear board shorts and it's all judged on your upper body and symmetry. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I started looking it up, going on YouTube. Like, I was like, oh, it's like I can mess with this. And so 2014, yeah, it was 2014. 2014, I did my first show. Dave Lieberman show. He had it. This one it was in Lakewood. I don't know where it's at now. He done got so big. I did my first show, and I won my class, and I got instantly hooked. It was one of them things. It's a subjective sport, meaning like basically it's like, you know what I'm saying, it's based on somebody else's eye, how they look at you. And most people, like your family and your friends, like, dang man, you look cool. And then you get up on stage and you come in dead last, you be like, yeah, see, family don't know shit. But it's just that type of like the bodybuilding world is just that type. Like you have to be okay with understanding that somebody might pinpoint just the smallest little thing on you and say, yeah, that could have been better, or
Yeah.
you ain't like. So it's one of them things where you gotta be able to kind of you gotta take some of your emotions out of it and realize that, you know what I'm saying, you being judged, and this is what you got up on the stage to do. You up here to be judged.
That is true.
And so the more and more I did it, the more and more I got addicted to it. And I was like, man, I was just like, I love this. Like, this is like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's about me getting in the gym and just really working on me. And, you know, and so when I did my first national show, I was like, man, I'm a national qualifier. Boom. I was like, I done killed this. I'm about to be a pro. And I went to this national show in Chicago and got my ass handed to me. And I realized real quick, I was like, oh, okay. Like,
There's levels to this.
right, this is like, you can win a local show, but that don't mean you're ready for the big boy show. And so, and the next year I did it again. I was like, you know what? I went to nationals again, got my ass beat again. So then I was like, you know what? Maybe I was like, because I was all self-taught at this time. Like I did everything myself. I was like, maybe this is where I just gotta let my ego go and get a coach. And I met Gary, and Gary took over, and he, like, in that 1 year in 2016 when he took over, I became a pro. So
did you notice the difference between what you were doing and what Gary had you doing? He
Gary
was
had
like,
me.
was
He
it
had me
different from
eat.
your stuff?
Yeah, he taught me how to eat more while still being in calorie deficient. He taught me how to target certain muscles and have mind muscle connection better. He just taught me a lot of stuff that I didn't, because I was, like I said, I was new to it. He actually has a degree in kinesiology, so he knows what the hell he's doing.
I didn't
So
want to listen to the brother.
yeah, so when he me being under his guidance really took me to the next level. And I stayed with him over the years, up until I just kind of like took a break from it. Took a break the last couple years to focus on my sons, as far as them getting them to college and getting them to the next level and stuff like that. So I kind of moved, because in the bodybuilding world it's selfish. It's very selfish. It's all about my gym, my cardio, my food, fuck everything else. Like, like it's a very selfish sport, and I think that's why most motherfuckers be single.
I
They
mean, but
just do it.
ain't that everything in life? If you want to be the GOAT, if you will, you
Yeah,
kind of have to be, into
you,
what you're doing if you want to be the
yeah.
greatest.
So it's things like that, and then that's what made me realize that I couldn't have both. Like if I really wanted to be a top notch pro,
Mm-hmm.
it would have cost me sacrifices that I wasn't willing to make. And
Yes.
to me, like my kids and my wife will always come before something like that. Like to me, it wouldn't be worth it.
Nah, I get that. And so is this what got you into Men's Health Magazine and bodybuilding.com and all that?
Those were just luck. Like the men's health, getting the cover of men's health was all luck. I mean, and God, and so I literally entered into a contest, didn't think nothing of it. So what happened was Men Health runs this Ultimate God contest. They have been running it for a while. I entered it back in like 2017, I think. Made it to like the top 10 or something like that. And so
How do you
then,
qualify?
huh?
How do you even qualify for this?
You literally just put in your stuff. You literally go on there, like when they run it, they ask you a couple questions. You answer those questions. You shoot some pictures and stuff like that, and that's it. And after that, they kind of like they have editors and stuff like that. They kind of like vote and narrow it down based on the entries and stuff like that. So then in last year, right, 2022. I happened to see it on Instagram. I was on Instagram scrolling, just bullshitting, and I was like, "Oh, they doing it again?" So I just entered. I was like, "You know what? It's been 5 years. I haven't seen it in a while. Let me go ahead, throw my name in there, see what happens." And so I didn't hear nothing from them for months. And then August rolls around. Like it was the beginning of the school year. I never forget because I was in my classroom, setting up my classroom.
Yeah.
I get an email from them saying, "Hey, we need you to answer these questions, and you can either do it in written form or you can do it in video form." I was like, "Man, I'm literally in my classroom doing nothing but setting up my class for the school year to start." So I was like, "I'm about to record this real quick." So I literally record everything, answer all their questions right then and there. Within an hour of them sending me the email, I send it back to them, and they was like, "Man, this is the fastest reply we ever had in contest history." I'm like, "Well, I'm literally not doing anything." So and so. Then I get another email a couple weeks later saying, "Hey, you're in the top 3. We need to bring you to New York so you can do a photo shoot, blah, 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 blah." So I was like, "Cool, I'll be there." So I go to New York, I do all these interviews, photo shoots and stuff like that. Still don't, at this point in time, they're like, "All right, we're going to contact y'all in November, December-ish to let y'all know who's the winner, so on and so forth." So I was like, "All right, cool." Didn't think nothing of it. I got an everyday job, life, and stuff like that. So I'm not even thinking about it. Like, because I was in my mind, I'm like, I'm in the top 3. It doesn't matter to me. I'm like, shit, I'm in the top 3. As some way, somehow, my face is gonna be in this magazine.
Right.
It may not be the cover, but I'm going to be in this magazine. So after that, I get a thing, and it's like, "Hey, was it Today Show or Good Morning America? I forgot what I was on." And that's bad. But one of the I was on, I think it's the Today Show. So they was like, they liked your story. They want you to come back to New York and they want you to do an interview on set. I'm like, "All right, cool. I'll be there." I'm like, "Tell me when. This is during, this is high time testing for school. So I just need, I need to in and out. I need to be there and I need to be back."
Look at
And so
this.
they was like,
You got Good Morning America Today Show calling you, and
I was
you
like,
ain't.
I was like, "Cool, as long as I can get in and get out." I was like, because I got to get back to work. Like these kids, what I'm saying, I got testing going on. They was like, yeah, we can make that happen. We'll fly you in on the evening and have you out after soon as you get done interviewing in the morning. We'll have you on an afternoon flight. Boom. I was like, "All right, cool, that works." Whole time, like I had no idea, and they was like, so I was like, "Oh, is the other 2 dudes up there?" They was like, "No, and don't tell them that you're coming." I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't think nothing of it. I'm being naive. I'm like, "Oh, maybe they got something else going on." I'm being naive. Aisha had already. She was like, she was like, "You won." She was like, she on she was like, she wasn't gonna be at home to be able to watch it, so she had DVR'd it, and it said on the DVR thing that the winner of the Men's
Oh
Health
my God.
is going to be announced.
Did the
So
other
she was like,
dudes?
and so she was like, "You the only one going." She's like, "They told you not to tell nobody, and it's saying right here on the DVR that they're gonna announce it. But me, I don't like to get my hopes up in case something go wrong.
I get it. Because it's huge.
Right.
It's not her, so she can
Right.
easily just be like,
So my mindset is like, this like, I'm not gonna get my hopes up and be like,
Yeah.
shit, I won, and then that, like, they really just want to know about nigga getting blown up, and so, so I just left it at that. And so when they announced it and stuff like that, I was shocked. I was happy because, it was, to me, it was a great honor. It was something that I felt like, it was just a blessing and the whole nine. So, once, like I said, all these things just kind of, happened through God. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, anything I did and unique. I felt like I've been the same person since 2000, since the injury happened in 2009. Like, for the last 15 years, I've been the same person. All I do is just try to find a way to use my story to elevate people, to inspire people, to, you know what I'm saying? And that's it. If it can help just one person, not give up and keep pushing, then I feel like I've done my job.
That's a good segue into this right here. Let's put that on the screen.
So yeah, my book, Count It Out.
Count It Out. I read it. I love it. I appreciate the page you wrote for me. I definitely appreciate it.
I wrote, and that's the thing. Like, anybody who ordered it, and they ordered it through my website, I hand autographed every last one of those books, and I put something unique to everybody who ordered one. And it didn't matter how big or how small our relationship was. I made sure I acknowledged you as a person because you took the time to purchase it, and so on and so forth. So the book had been something that my wife had been telling me to write for years. I just didn't.
I mean, come on now, through the whole interview. I mean, why not? You got a story to tell.
I was like, I just don't feel like doing this. And so COVID hit. So it was like, I ain't got nothing but time on my hand.
Get your ass down and write.
Right. So I literally did. I literally every day on my phone during those times of COVID, I did it all on my phone, on the Google Doc on my phone. I literally would just type.
Yeah.
So whether it was 20 minutes or an hour, I would find time to just write stuff that was going on. And then I set a goal for myself. I was like, you know what? I need to have this done by the end of this year so that I can get it to an editor and start the process. Because I didn't know how long all that would take, how long the editing, just the whole process of doing a book was like a lot. And because once you get it to the editor, then they got to do all this, and then they got to and then once you get it down from the editor, you got to get the book cover, and you got to get it made, and it's just so, and then you got to go publishing and everything. It was a lot of stuff that went into writing a book that I just thought, I was like, oh shit, I just need to write, and then everything else is gonna happen. So it was a lot to go into that, but I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to do it and get it out and get it out there, and it's definitely it has some of the stuff we talked about on here, but it has a lot more in-depth details as far, especially when I'm talking about suicide and depression, and me reconnecting with my mom. It has a lot of stuff in there that it's a short book. It's only about 100 pages, if that. But I didn't want to have when everybody asked me when I wrote it, I'm like, I could have put a whole lot of fluff in there if I wanted some big 200-page book. I could have just threw a whole bunch of just unnecessary day-to-day dumb stuff in there that I experienced. But I really wanted it to be impactful as far as what people saw, as far as the mental aspect of what it's like to be injured and as a soldier, and how we recover. And some of us don't recover, and some of us don't make it back mentally, and that's why we have the high rate of suicides and so on and so forth. And
right.
Wow. So I wanted it to give people an understanding of what it recovery ain't easy, and it takes time. I just happened to bounce back and kind of I wanted people to see that you can bounce back and you can have a great life afterwards.
Do you have any connections, or I don't want to say meetings or meetups or whatever, with guys in your situation from the military?
You know what? No, I don't. That's been one of my goals, is to find a way to work with the VA, USO, and stuff like that, to be able to connect with guys and to go to the different hospitals and to speak with these gentlemen and women as well, and try to help them, um, you know what I'm saying, find their why. I think once they can find their why, they can find a way to peace and recovery. I think that's the most important aspect of it. It's like I told you earlier, is once I had my why is what kept me going and kept me motivated and stuff like that, because it's important. Because if you don't have that, and you're pretty much in limbo. So I do want, that's one of my things, is to give back to the community. It's a process of trying to get my foot in those doors and those opportunities.
You'll get it, man. And then I guess to wrap up, life for CJ right now, you got Shake Your Feet on Fire, you got the AAU, and everything. You're
Okay. I'm out of the AAU business.
So you're out of the AAU business. So
I'm out of the
that's
AAU.
done.
Straight high school coach. That's it. Straight high school coach. I'm out of the
High school
AAU.
coach and teacher.
Yes, high school coach, teacher, and that's and then I have my business with my wife, Collier League, consulting and education. So we do a lot of stuff with that, as far as small business consulting and educational consulting, and I do like the personal training and stuff like that. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Although, you know what I'm saying, I support Aaron, the youngest. He runs AAU track. I just don't coach. So
you just out there. You a regular dad now.
I'm out there just being a dad, and I provide him with advice to help him along the way. But as far as me being a coach, is my coaching days are only on the high school level right now.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Summer tracks, it takes a lot out of you. So like I said, I'm happy with just being the coach I am, and at the high school level, and and that's pretty much it, really, just teaching and coaching. And then we're gonna see what this next degree does for me moving forward.
You said his next degree?
Yeah, I'll be finished with my second master's degree in administration in February.
Jumping back in.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Big ups to you, man.
I mean, I've been going to school for a while now. Now I'm about to be done with it. So, yeah. So I'm looking to see what this next. What do I plan on staying in the classroom, or do I plan on going to the administrative side? I'm still weighing my options.
I mean, what's the difference? Is the administration side obviously more money, but you have that connection with your kids?
Administrative side is more dealing with. You're not only dealing with the kids. Now I'm dealing with teachers. I'm dealing with parents. I'm dealing with.
Oh, it sounds political.
Yeah, it's a lot of extra.
A lot of politicking.
A lot of stuff that comes along with that side of the fence. Versus, if I stay in the classroom, all I gotta do is worry about what's in my bubble.
Right, right.
So if I go on the other side, the bubble gets a lot bigger. So
that's definitely true. All right, man. Well, sure, I appreciate you coming on, man. I don't want to keep you too much longer. Big ups to you and the family. Love you guys as always, man. We definitely gotta link up pretty soon, all of us.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you having me. I'm proud of what you're doing with this and trying to create a new platform and so on and so forth. So, man, it's inspirational, man. I love what you're doing with the wife and the kids, So keep doing your thing. You the young buck of the crew.
Right. The young buck that's getting older.
Yeah.
which is crazy. I'm still the young buck, but I'm getting older, man. But
Yes.
yeah, definitely. I appreciate you having me. I appreciate you being on.
No problem, man. Anytime.
All right, big dog. Let
All
me.
right, X.